Hey! It didn't take long, we are back.
We are back. Let's not tell the audience that we are filming this consecutively one after each other, so that it really feels a serious. But yesterday we were talking about this interesting new series that we launched, and wearing the same clothes, of course, and so on.
Skimlecast.
And now we are back, and we wanted to talk this episode about a bit more like why Skimle, what does it actually do, and how is it different? And if we start that by just explaining to our viewers, what is thematic analysis if you do it from an academic point of view? Like what's the basic process, and then what's maybe the challenges in that as well?
Yeah. So qualitative analysis is of course like a huge area with different tradition, different approaches. But at the core often is this idea that you want to identify certain knowledge from the documents, what you're interested in, driven by your research question, and then structure it into coherent themes that give kind of abstraction from the things that people directly say to these like broader topics that you can then use to form a theoretical explanation, or in more practical research to kind of structure what you found, whether it's academic research or market research.
And how would you classically do it? Like, I know for quantitative stuff you would put the numbers into Excel or R or SPSS. But explain a bit the tooling or the process on the
so the classic approach, of course, is to use different colored pens and printouts of the interview, and then you have a green highlighter for something and a yellow highlighter for other kind of things. But that I think we must have some professors who still do it that way. We have different approaches. There are software that's been developed exactly for this. So this kind of legacy qualitative analysis software tools, which look a bit like Word, and then you can highlight things and they pick up the highlighted text and you can put them in different categories. Some people use just Excel, so they copy-paste stuff from Word to different Excel, and then you can move around the quotes from one column to another to kind of create emerging themes. A big thing in qualitative research is the recursiveness, that when you code your interviews, for example, you kind of form the quotes, but you always rethink what is kind of the most insightful way to group these observations together.
Yeah, and in the business side, I mean, I would never in McKinsey have called it thematic analysis, right? That would be a misnomer, but the job of looking at, for example, if you're doing a due diligence and you interviewed 15 experts from the industry and you have all the interview notes or transcripts in there, and what you're then doing is trying to find what are the facts that you have related to maybe market growth or market size or competitive dynamics or individual players or kind of opinions about the customer evolution. Like, you're trying to identify what are the categories of knowledge you have and what are the insights you have from the different interviews. So if you're doing organizational change projects, you would interview people to understand what is the current culture, what are the frustrations, what are the strong areas, what's the desired culture, what's the change ongoing. So trying to identify, not just summarize individual interviews, but you're trying to find the common themes, which I guess is the same as for academic. Now in the consulting side, we would never use the academic tools like NPO or MaxQDA or Atlas TI. We would purely use, I think, probably like text or Excel, or unfortunately quite often just directly put it to PowerPoint. So this idea of, let's start from the deliverable, let's have a new slide called market growth, and then we just copy all the quotes we find from the text directly into that slide, just because the requirement for speed is so high, and maybe the gut feeling is enough.
Yeah. But there's of course the big risk is that is confirmation bias, that you think you know what the expert said. Yeah. Maybe there was one expert you particularly liked and they said something that resonates with you, and then you just pick the quotes to
support. And I think that's why if you look at a typical consulting project, I think people want to get on the quantitative work stream. They want to do the where you get to open Excel and you get to do the numbers, because then you know that you're really doing something traceable and solid and kind of bottom up. The qualitative side or the interviews, it's a bit of a second citizen in a sense. It's lacking the tools and the transparency. And everyone kind of knows a bit.
It has been.
It has been.
Thus far, but we are changing that.
Tell me more about that.
Yeah.
Very smooth, by the way, for the viewers. Very smooth slide into this.
Yes.
Into this commercial side.
So yeah, it's people who have tried to analyze interviews with ChatGPT. I mean, I think the observation is that AI is great when you have one interview, maybe two interviews. You can just put it and say, okay, give me all the themes about market growth, or give me all the observations about the competition, and you get a pretty good output. So can consultants use that? Can you just like take one interview at a time and get the synthesis from?
I think I used to do that quite a bit. So I think for interview summaries, it's quite okay. Now, a challenge in those is, at least when I try to summarize interviews, I don't want a summary. I want a summary, but then to really put the key points up there, like kind of what are really the so whats. So they will talk, 90% of the time they talk about nice stuff, there's some nuggets of gold. And of course spotting those nuggets of gold and kind of putting them in the front and saying, this interviewer said, the market will tank next year, is what you try to do in those notes. And often AI tools, the classic ones, wouldn't really spot that this is an important theme, it is important insight. So for that, less good, but for the overall summaries, yes. I mean, you can of course easily use it. Now, when you have multiple interviews, then you run into this. You can only paste 5 files at the same time, or the context length is too short, and so on.
And something that people have observed is that even when the context length gets bigger, right, the quality goes down. So suddenly it starts missing more things, and it's picking up randomly these things, but not those things.
Yeah, but poor thing. Imagine it. You're dumping like a pile of things and read through it, really fast, and then you start to ask questions. And then, of course, I don't know. Somewhere at the beginning it said something like this, so I'll just play on that. And the most poor is when you then point it out and you say, hey ChatGPT, that I think you skipped interview number 5 completely. And then it apologized, saying, I'm so sorry, you're absolutely right, Mr. Salo, you are absolutely right, you are the brilliant person for spotting this.
I'm not worthy of observing you, right?
Let me fix this right away, and then it goes to interview 5 and reads it through and very nicely puts, and then forgets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 6 and 7. But you cannot really go in the front of clients and say that, hey, AI told me this is the case. They will just laugh you out.
So I think the big advantage now for Skimle is the combination of AI and regular software, that we get this comprehensiveness and structure, that it's designed to work in a specific way all the time. So it's like an assistant that's well trained and always follows the manual of how to process stuff.
And what I like about Skimle the most is this Skimle table view. So basically, after doing the reading through all of the documents one by one, so we don't try to force the full stack down the throat of the poor AI. We say, okay, here's document number 1, paragraph number 1, what is it about? Paragraph number 2. So we spoon feed the AI, bits and pieces of the article. Just poor guy, just do it kind of one at a time. Then it has analyze the text and finds the categories and subcategories. And then it shows that structure it has created. So you can look at, here is my document, interview number 1, interview number 2, interview number whatever, 500 we want for the EU stuff, or statement number 500. And here's all the different themes or categories I found in the subcategories. So you see this table. Now talking with other consultants, I think that kind of tabular view is where a lot of experts really end up collecting their interview notes anyway. So it's a very intuitive way of looking at the data for humans, but also it turns out that when you then feed that table into AI and say, please look at this column and give me a summary, it actually works nicely, because you're again, like you're spoon feeding the the relevant data, not throwing again all the 500 documents and saying that do a summary of this category. So this interim format is one of the biggest innovations, I think, for transparency and just for making the workflow.
Yeah, and I think that's generally a lot of knowledge work is about structuring things into categories and finding similarities and differences. And certainly it also helps you see how do different interview informants differ in their views on a specific topic when you have things categorized. So yeah, that's been a driving kind of philosophy us that we force the data in a certain structure that we create from the data ground up. You mentioned the spreadsheet view, but I find lots of our customers really like the category view. So why don't you like it?
I think the category view it's one step more refined in a way. Like for me, the table view is the most kind of raw access to data. You really see it's like the full data has been dissected on the table, and you can look at all the different organs of the data. Now the category view takes a more slice and say, okay, good, for this category or for this subcategory, what's the data telling us? And then what I love is that it's able to find, what are those interesting quotes, like find me the nuggets of gold. In this category, someone said very interestingly, what's the typical quotes, like what they normally said, and then the full transparency of here's all the different quotes pertaining to this. So I kind of like it for looking at the slice of it, but I'm more like the full dissected data animal on the table.
Yeah. Well, I think people have different needs in their knowledge work, right?
Yes.
And we find that some people want to really understand the data, go back. One thing that we've really put effort is that it takes 1 or 2 clicks to get from an insight to the original document where you can see the conversation where that quote comes from. And for other people, it's just the time from transcribing the interviews in our platform to exporting the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about this export as a Word document, and I threw this idea that maybe some people just want to get the export as a Word document, and then you had showed it to the one of our early customers, and you were texting back that they absolutely loved this Word report because for them that was the step in the workflow they would have to do next anyway. So it was kind of the table was important for exploring the data, the category views, for getting a sense of it. But what they had to produce was a Word report, and all the hassle of finding the quotes and copy pasting them to Word, that was taken away from them, and really getting a very clear report. So courses for courses, we're always all the time developing new import and export formats and workflows and features. And I'm not sure if we should reveal too much about that, but we have MCP and kind of API and more like computerized formats also in the discussion. So you could plug Skimle as part of an even larger automated workflow, be it for research or for business applications.
One thing that we realized, people hate prompting. People don't like to prompt. They don't want to ask AI questions. They just want the knowledge out of the system.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow, I think prompting is the most unintuitive interface for many applications. Yet what we see is, for some reason, maybe because ChatGPT, 3.0 was a chatbot. So people then saw AI as a chatbot, and then every tool started to put the chatbot feature. So somehow people were pushed into that. But it's not the right user interface for knowledge work. It's like trying to do, instead of having a keyboard and screen, you would just have a conference call where you try to tell the analyst that please analyze it this way, and then they fax you back something. And like, no, that's not the way. It's a stupid interface basically. For a lot of things. So for other things it works, but it's not for analysis work. Imagine like Excel over chat. Just add a column with numbers. Yes, I have now added the column. What do I do next? That's the best column I ever added. You are so great, Mr. Honest. So no, it's just.
Of course, we do have the chat. So those who haven't tried out the service, we do have also the chat interface. But we're trying to allow multiple ways of using it, And we added this analysis where you don't need to prompt at all. It
No.
picks up from the interviews the questions you have asked and structures data based on those, and we're looking towards that kind of features.
Yeah, exactly. And I think kind of overall, I think it goes back to like what are you trying to build with AI, and this sense that Skimle is not, it's not trying to be a tool that with one click you produce like 90% quality. No, you can do that with Skimle. I mean, you I think not with one click, but maybe 5 clicks you can produce the basic and then export it and so on. But that's not the main purpose of Skimle. Skimle is a tool for a power user, a research expert or a market researcher or a lawyer or a consultant or someone who can use Skimle to not go from 0 to 90, but go from 0 to 200% quality. Go deeper to the data, faster to the data, gather more insights, grow their sample size, and so they can actually get more out of it in less time, not just produce AI slop like we see from the AI tools. And that's a very important philosophy for us. So how do you maintain that quality bar? Because if you're in the academia, you cannot just publish slop. If you're in consulting, maybe you can, but sometimes you're hopefully caught, right? And we want to apply the same academic rigor also in a business setting.
The law firms that I've talked with, law firms and consulting companies, they see the main threat is that the customer will use chatbots to produce like 80%, 90% quality output. And if that's your strategy as a consulting company, I think it's a dead end, right? You need to produce the 150%, 200%. That's maybe a bit of a stretch, but depends where you're starting from. Like you need to be able to produce in the same time much higher quality work, right? And that's what we're trying to support.
Yeah, exactly. Like in any field, if the tools have improved, the output has improved. So it's not that we are building log houses now with like some power tools. And no, our houses have improved.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them. I think in Finland we struggle with housing quality, but theoretically the housing.
Have you ever lived in UK?
Okay, sorry to all of our UK viewers, but I have. It was horrible. No,
I think they are fine recognizing that it's not great.
Yeah. But anyway, so better tools for people.
For better knowledge work.
For better knowledge work, be it academic or business knowledge work.
Okay.
Good.
This is the second Skimlecast.
Skimlecast in our growing series of Skimlecasts.
Exactly.
Now, at the end of the first Skimlecast, I promise that we are taking that we recorded yesterday, right? Not
yes.
In coincidentally our same clothes, but in the previous one, I promised we will take any questions from the audience. So basically you. So if you have anything related to how to grow a beard, how to be a good-looking gentleman, how to make funny jokes, or related to qualitative analysis, research methods, sample size, how does Skimle work, knowledge work, future of AI, anything, just send them our way. We'll put the link to the comments field. That should be we're going to point remember to subscribe. We're not really good in this marketing motion yet, so we'll see what happens. But basically, do comment, like, share,
all of that stuff. Yeah.
Send us TikTok dances and whatever.
Are we on TikTok now?
I don't know. What is TikTok?
We'll do some research.
We'll do some research and then summarize it with Skimle. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.